Ну что, все, что мы планировали смотреть, мы посмотрели перед спектаклем. И, наверное, все-таки сделали правильно, потому что если завтра действительно будет дождь, так как обещают, то мы бы просто не смогли там пройти, потому что очень много грунтовых дорог. И, конечно же, там будет грязь, если будут дожди. Сейчас мы уже едем в небольшой город Чиликоте, где находится этот театр. Но, к сожалению, как мы прочитали на форумах, там, скорее всего, будет запрещена фото- и видеосъемка. Но у нас перед выступлением должен быть ознакомительный тур, так называемый Backstage. Это типа за кулисами нас проведут. Особенность этого театра в том, что декорации его находятся, это outdoor драма, то есть все декорации, все действия происходят на улице. Интересно, конечно, будет, что они нам покажут. Ну все, ждите вместе с нами. Мы направляемся. Я не представляю, как люди здесь живут на отшибе от всей цивилизации. Yeah, it's beautiful, but it's too far away from old civilization. Даже не знаю, что тут фермеры, наверное, видите поля здесь. Такие, видите, домишки не бедные. Это типичные американские домики. Так, что-то подъехали к какому-то селению. Деревушка какая-то маленькая. Зачем мне дорога к нам в село? Мгм. Церквушка небольшая. Деревенька маленькая. One more. For such small place to church. О, мы уже почти приехали. А там вон озеро какое-то. Готовятся. Посмотрим, посмотрим. Здесь опять лесочек такой. Очень красивое место. Вокруг горы, холмы, реки. Очень красиво. Посмотрим, что за представление будет. Но снимать на самом представлении нельзя, к сожалению. Висит огромный знак. Снимать нельзя. Ну, посмотрим, может быть, хотя бы вот этот тур, который сейчас у нас запланирован, можно будет снять на видео, тогда выложим.
Now, a male child born to the Shawnee was given a name within 10 days. A female was given a name within 12 days. During this time, the parents would wait for a sign or an unsoma in which to name the baby accordingly. When the great meteor showed itself to his parents, they felt they had no other choice but to name him Tecumseh, which is essentially translates to panther passing across the sky.
He was a brilliant diplomat, a revolutionary thinker, and a military genius. By the age of 6, he was already an accomplished hunter, and by the age of 14, he had reached warrior status, which was totally unheard of in any Native American tribe. He was also considered to be clairvoyant, like his sister Tecumseh, his brother Chicksika, and his father Paxuma. There are even accounts that he predicted the New Madrid earthquake, the New Madrid earthquake of 1811, which registered up to about an 8.0 on the Richter scale.
Now, with all this going for him and all the promise that he showed, Tecumseh would never actually be the primary chief of the Shawnee. See, the Shawnee was more of a loose confederation of 5 different sets, each one responsible for upholding different responsibilities to the tribe as a whole. You had the Pickaways, who were responsible for maintaining the religious traditions. You also had the Makajays, who were the primary hunters, but also upheld the medicine. You had the Kispakotha, which was Tecumseh's tribe, and they trained the warriors. You also had the Thawagilas and the Shalagwathas, who were the primary governing bodies of the Shawnee.
Tecumseh was Kispakotha, so he was trained as a warrior, not as a leader. Therefore, many of his tribe didn't want to follow along in his plan. Tecumseh's plan was to unite all the tribes in the nation under one alliance, and then he would go to the United States government and demand that they move back east.
The third and final blood effect we use is our blood knife. Now, if you look carefully, it's not actually a knife at all. It is made out of aircraft aluminum steel, and for our safety purposes, has very dull edges. There's a small gauge tube that is soldered to the edge with a hole right here at the tip and runs all the way down into a baby ear irrigator in this little pouch that is filled with a blood compound of cornstarch, red and blue food coloring, and laundry detergent. You want?
Yeah, so it washes off super easily. Would anyone like to get cut?
Go for it.
Yeah. Cool. Come on down.
So what'll happen is you'll put the knife edge up to the part of the flesh that you want to give the illusion of a cut. And then as you draw the knife, you'll squeeze down on the irrigator. Go ahead.
Yeah. Give me a good scream when you get cut.
And it makes it look like you're cutting it.
Yeah. Show them your arm. Show them.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
It washes off very easy. It is laundry detergent, but we also have makeup wipes, just in case you don't want to go home with a battle scar. Feel free to just go ahead and come on onto the sandy area. Just stay inside this little line in the dirt that we've drawn.
Okay.
I know. We get to roll around in this, and like sometimes if I don't get caught, I can take a nap in it. Not if I get caught. Yes, sir. I can
Видишь,
go.
он идет
I play
за нами.
International performance.
Одень шапку быстро.
У тебя золотая.
Some non-Native American religious preparing, and they'll be shaving, come in and they'll shave my full body. Yes.
Brass cap called a percussion cap. And once I can get one of the little things out of there, and putting it on a piece called the nipple. When the hammer is pulled back, the trigger is pulled, it will detonate the cap, igniting the spark and grass, causing the weapon to fire. Like so. Firing! Ladies and gentlemen, the Kentucky Hunter's Rifle.
Okay, that's seriously getting annoying.
I have...
need my beauty sleep.
You need a lot of it.
I'm not going to dignify that with a response.
All right, well, the next thing to do, and the last weapon I'm going to demonstrate, is the standard 12-gauge shotgun. My boomstick, the Kmart Special. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is not a historically accurate weapon. But we use them behind the scenes for two specific reasons. First of which, we have several crucial gunshots that must happen in our show. Sometimes the old boys are unreliable, and there are several characters in our script that must die as they did historically. So we have stage managers backstage equipped with 12-gauge shotguns to back up necessary gunfire. The second reason is, during tonight's show, you will watch some very dramatic battles, during which we will have people backstage firing these shotguns to make it sound as if the battle is roaring off into the distance. Now, the 12-gauge shotgun is a breech-loaded weapon, so I will take a shotgun shell filled with 90 grains of reenactors powder, along with the grass wadding, and loading it into the shotgun. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the 12-gauge shotgun.
Hold it! I don't want it again, okay? I hate to be the killjoy, but I do not want to hear that noise again.
You don't want to hear it again?
No, I do not!
All right, I won't do it again, I swear.
Thank you.
Oh my god.
All right, now, if anybody asks you, my name is Robert Neal.
You know what you just did?
What's
You
that?
called down the thunder. Here comes the boom.
No!
Apologize.
Never!
Apologize.
I'm sorry.
That's what I thought. That was just a little demonstration of some of the stage combat you'll be seeing in tonight's performance. Now, many of us actors here in Tecumseh are trained under the Society of American Fight Directors for stage combat. So with that in mind, I strongly emphasize to you guys, do not try any of this at home, okay? Now, before we actually engage in stage combat, there are a few things we need to establish. First, we need to take a wide fighting stance, so our center of gravity is close to the ground, so that way we don't fall down while we're fighting, okay? Next is eye contact. This is a safety mechanism that we use to reassure to one another that my partner and I are both safe and ready to engage.
Now, the next thing to do is to gauge distance. There are two types of distance. In distance, where we can make physical contact, and out of distance, where we cannot. An easy way to do this is to extend your thumb and pinky finger while making a fist, rock on, and as you can see, that is more than enough room for my partner to swing his fist across my face without ever making contact. Now, the first move we are going to demonstrate is the right roundhouse punch. And how we are going to sell this move is we're going to utilize a technique called a nap. A nap is the sound of flesh hitting flesh. We will use a clap nap. Another way to sell these moves is that we will use masking. Now, from the audience, your depth perception or your view from the audience is about to 8 to 10 feet. So here is the right roundhouse with no reaction nor nap. Didn't look very good, did it? That's because my partner did not sell the move for me. Now, here is the right roundhouse with nap and reaction. Oh!
Ah. And now, we would like to demonstrate the stomach punch. Now, this is an in-distance move, which means in an in-distance move, I would want to hit my partner's major muscle masses, such as his abs,
I swear that they're somewhere.
his shoulders, and the back of his thigh. Now, for this move, we're also offline, so that way you guys could actually see the punch. And as with any other move, we're in a fighting stance, making eye contact. Now, for my fist, I would want to pretend that I'm holding a roll of quarters, so that way it assures my partner's safety when I'm making contact, and it actually makes an even louder sound when I make contact. And in Tecumseh, we use a strategy called negative energy, which means I would want to use twice the amount of energy pulling back than I actually would when pulling in. And when I make contact with my partner, he would want to roll his shoulders forward as well as his hips to react to it, as well as giving out a vocal, which is like a loud sound or letting out a breath of air. Something like that. Now, this is a stomach punch, full speed, with reaction. And there you have it. You right there, bud?
Yeah. Now, that is the end of our pirate combat demonstration. Does anybody have any questions? Nobody? All right, then I'll turn it over. Oh, do you have a question? Which hurt? The last one?
Fighting.
Oh, when we're fighting?
no.
No. It's specifically designed not to hurt.
Yeah. That's
Alright.
why we have these rules and regulations.
Eye contact is all for safety. Now, if anybody doesn't have any more questions, I'll turn it over to my friend Brian, and he'll demonstrate the high fall for you guys. Oh, yeah.
I live up near Urbana, and that's where Simon Kenton's buried.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
It's amazing.
You know, Kenton's named after him. Simon Kenton.
Well, how about that?
Can you take it away, Brian?
Sure
All
thing.
right, thank you.
All right, guys. I'm going to be demonstrating to you guys the Barking Fox High Fall. Now, if you guys want, you guys move up a bit. Just about to this line right here for your safety. Now, in the Barking Fox High Fall, I'm going to be falling from that platform all the way to this nice yellow pad that you see right there. It's 7 feet long, 4 feet wide, and 2.5 feet deep. It's also on a wagon under and hidden with a masking wall so that the audience doesn't see where I land. Now, with this stunt, I want to emphasize to you guys, do not try this at home because there's a number of factors that could go wrong. For one thing is the distance. The distance between my chest at the top of that pad to the pad right there is about 20 feet. So there's a lot of variation that could go wrong with that distance. Then there's also the masking wall. If I somehow hit the masking wall, I'm liable to damage my knees, my ankles, and my hips, and we obviously would not want that, now would we? No. To prevent that, we use a technique called frogging our legs. When I'm mid-fall, I'm going to put my feet together and bring my knees as close to my chest. That way it makes me shorter and liable to land safely on the mat. Now, once I am on the pad, I will want to bring my feet, the balls of my feet, close to the edge and squaring my hips to the pad. Then I simply just relax and tip over and let gravity do the work to land me safely on my back. Now this is a blind fall, which means even though that there's a target right there, there's an X right there, that I keep my eyes on it as long as I can as I'm falling, so that way I'm more likely to land on my back. Now, before I actually engage in the fall, I will want to yell out, "Falling!" Just like your pyro guy yells out firing before he engages, so that way everybody in the mountain knows that I am falling on purpose. And once I am falling, I would like to give out a large breath of air or a vocal like "ah" as I'm falling. This allows me to land safely without having the risk of damaging or collapsing my lungs on impact. Okay, now, if everybody wants to whip out their phones for pictures or photographs for this, this would now be a good opportunity. Everybody good?
Everybody's good.
I see you right there, filming right there. Hi there. All right. This is the Barking Fox High Fall. Falling.
Oh my God.
And there you have it.
Our house seats around 1,689 patrons, including that last row of brown chairs. At its fullest capacity, and including standing room only, we can house up to around 1,800 patrons in a single evening. If you look under the lip of the rain shelter, you'll see some of the lighting instruments we use in the show. We have around 200 lighting instruments that we have hidden from the audience's perspective. The film that you see covering the shades of the lights are called gels. These are used to create different moods for different scenes. Blues for nighttime, yellows for daytime, and reds, greens, and purples to make our battle sequences more spectacular.
Now, if you look above our rain shelter, you'll see our production tower. It stands 4 stories high, and it houses our production stage manager, or PSM, and our light and sound operators. From up there, they can see everything that's happening on stage and backstage. Our PSM is responsible for calling all of our cues during our show. They stay in constant radio contact with our stage right and our stage left managers to make sure that everything's running smoothly during the shows and all of us actors make our cues on time. Our PSM is also responsible for setting off our reciprocal charges during the battles. These reciprocal charges make it look like our cannons are actually destroying their intended targets.
As I mentioned earlier, our actors rely on their own voices in order to be heard. However, we do use a pre-recorded vocal narration track and soundtrack. Native American actor Graham Greene provides the vocal narration for tonight's show performance. You may know him best for his role as Kicking Bird in Kevin Costner's film Dances with Wolves, which he received an Academy Award nomination for, or Twilight.
Get your hands off the dirt.
Our pre-show and show soundtrack this evening is entitled Reflections of an Indian Boy, and it was composed by Carl Fisher. Now, you may not know Mr. Fisher's name, but he was a collaborator with Mr. Frankie Lane, who wrote Mule Train and Rawhide. Upon completion of this of Reflections of an Indian Boy, Mr. Fisher passed away, and Mr. Lane donated the rights to Tecumseh as a way to honor his friend. We then took it to the London Symphony Orchestra for recording. They've recorded such soundtracks for movies like Star Wars and Braveheart. Okay, and now we're going to be taking...
Follow us this way. We'll go around backstage.
Continue on this way, we have our pond, which was constructed in 1973 for our first performance. It is 9 feet deep at its deepest point and is a living pond. We have live fish, frogs, and even some turtles, I've been told, haven't seen them yet, in our pond. And we use this pond in a variety of ways in tonight's performance. You'll see boats and canoes being paddled across, actors jumping into and being thrown into the water, and even some Indians attacking from the pond.
As Weston mentioned, we do use boats in our show. These boats, however, are not time period appropriate to Tecumseh. Back then, they would have been made out of solid wood, which is heavy and kind of hard to maneuver. Our boats are made out of aluminum because it's easier to get in place. It's quieter. It's more time efficient for our actors. And you can actually see Jed, one of our actors and pyrotechnicians, in one of those boats now.
Getting some of our reciprocal charges set for tonight's show. Back here we have our back path. We use this to enhance our scenes on the main stage. You'll see some battles happening on this path tonight, and even the British encampment.
Next, we have our lower back path, which actors use to cross from stage right to stage left, or vice versa, without being seen by the audience. This large row of trees between the path and the audience masks our actors. So if everyone would like to follow me as we go down the back path, we'll head over to stage left. If anybody has any questions at this time, now's a good time to ask as we walk.
Also where they'll do their quick changes at. A lot of our actors have up to 8 to 10 quick changes during the show. The location right off stage allows them to quickly exit, change costumes, and re-enter before their next entrance. The next door over is everybody else's quick change room.
At least. Okay, any of the horses returning?
I believe so. The number one horse is
Very
and they use them in
Many Shawnee, or many Native Americans, not just the Shawnee, bury their dead in this way. It's a platform that's lifted up off the ground, and if it was a warrior who had died, they would adorn it with different things such as shields, war clubs, tomahawks, and things that they thought they would need in the afterlife, in the spirit world. So, yeah.
All right, everybody, that will conclude our backstage portion of the tour. If we head on back up to our seats in the house, we'll continue with the makeup demonstration.
I wonder if the kids learned anything on the training. Do you think they did?
I don't know.
Что там такое? Не надо сейчас ничего сдирать.
Хорошо.
Отходи. Какие милые кукляшки. Какая хорошка. А это что такое? Для меня? О, боже мой. Вроде бы все.
She was looking for a water bottle. She was looking for it.
А, точилка. Здесь еще шляпы такие.
I went down to the car and charged my phone.
Oh.
I got 2 hours with nothing to do. Okay.
Сделай чашку.
Так, все, Бодя, теперь не мешай мне, да, я сниму здесь. Это ловец снов, да. Ну,
Из чего?
ну иди ложи снов. Будешь?
Ага.
Именно этот, смотри, их там много разных.
Мне именно вот тот понравился.
Все хорошо. Нет.
А зачем? А как это происходит, да?
Не
Как ты
знаю.
это видишь?
Он плохих ловит в сети, плохие сны. Есть, конечно, здесь и хендмейды, но очень много мейден наша дорогая чайна. Это книги. Вот это та, что Джон читает книгу.
Бутылка.
Угу.
Right. This counts. Well, I looked it up. The same house.
These red sweatshirts, is this all the sizes you have?
Yes. Yes.
We'll try this one more. What?
Боже, они настоящие.
Oh my god, Mom, you want to have this? Она настоящая кожаная, почувствовать.
Да, хорошо.
Почувствовать.
Потом.
Сколько она стоит? 7 долларов.
Занимай очередь пока. Я? Так, в общем, нагреблись мы всякой ерунды в этом магазине подарков. Ну, как же без него, всякие браслетики. Богдан вон томагавк себе прикупил. Покажи томагавк. Вот так вот у нас волчонок томагавк. Я себе там браслетик. И тебе на тумбочка тоже есть. Браслетик взяла. Индейский. Так что изучайте Кастанеду. Валюхи тоже набрала.
Вот это.
Так, что-то тут Бодя. Угу, понятно.
Я сейчас сделаю это.
Главный индеец в работе. Ну вот там вот
сделаю
будет
сейчас
проходить, за
Девушка,
этой территорией будет
идея.
проходить выступление, но оно будет аж в 8 часов. У нас еще есть 2 часа. Сейчас походим по территории, наверное, еще. Если найду что-то интересное, поснимаю. Не знаю, здесь в основном природа, а природы мы уже сегодня столько насмотрелись. Вообще интересно, конечно, очень интересно, скажу я вам. Мне вообще интересно все это с индейцами. Нашли мы здесь, где обитали чероки, на территории Огайо. Только наш папа индеец куда-то забежал. Покурить? А, понятно, сбежал от меня, чтобы покурить.
Oh my god, I did it again.
Окей. Все.
Хороший получил.
Так, хорошо, если найдем еще что-то интересное, снимем. Перед шоу мы можем немножко снять, но когда начнется шоу, камеры, телефоны, все должно быть выключено. Съемку не разрешают. Еще ждать час.
Час?
Да. Это все, что мы можем снять. Съемка во время спектакля запрещена. Вот столько людей. Тоник пришел. Такое у нас покрывальце тепленькое. One more?
You haven't signed something, right? I asked, she said they already have markers. She was doing that. Oh, that's something else.
Yeah, you should get a message.
No.